Brady is not anti-law enforcement. The Sixth Amendment, it's about the Sixth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment protects a defendant's constitutional rights. Personally, I'm extremely pro-law enforcement. I've dedicated my entire career to working with law enforcement as a prosecutor here in Amherst County. But just because I'm pro-law enforcement doesn't mean that I get to ignore the Sixth Amendment, or I don't, uphold the oath that I've taken to support and defend our Constitution. So, what is Brady? Brady is just kind of the language you get that we use to do it. It's actually a line of cases. Giglio is another case. Feds actually use the case Giglio more than they use Brady, but there's a couple lines of cases all dealing with the Sixth Amendment rights of a defendant. It just means that anything that is impeachment testimony, impeachment evidence against a witness, or anything exculpatory has to be disclosed. I cannot hide evidence. Law enforcement officers just happen to be the most frequent witnesses in criminal cases. This is a defendant's right to confront and cross-examine their accusers, but that can be a citizen witness, it can be any member in this room as a witness, and it would have to be disclosed whether they're law enforcement officers in general deal with this the most. But we also get letters from the Department of Forensic Science that we have to disclose. So if one of their analysts has testified wrong in one court, all Commonwealth attorneys get letters because we have to disclose that if they're a witness on any of our cases with when they are witnesses. It is a defendant's right. So this isn't a bash people in the public thing. This isn't a out to get someone's career. This is just a defendant's right. I'm not going to be a witness. There's nothing for me to ever disclose. So that's a little bit of how they work. This is something that law enforcement understands, and better as the more we have to deal with this, they understand because they deal with it the most. I teach law enforcement. I teach at the Central Virginia Criminal Justice Academy. In every class, I teach at least one session, and in that session, even if off topic, I talk about Brady, and we make sure they understand because it is a difficult world that they are entering, and they're held to a standard that most people are not held to. I have no ability to hire or fire within the sheriff's office or town police.
If that officer is never involved in a criminal case where he has to go as a witness,
right,
then he could hypothetically never know that he's ever been Bradied. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's wrong. And I mean, and I'm not directing that to you, Mr. Carver, but if that's the process amongst the Commonwealth of Virginia, or if that's the federal statutes, that is wrong, that an officer could go his entire career and not know that this is hanging over his head.
Well,
that is wrong.
It would be difficult to come up with a scenario where he wouldn't know.
How many officers in Amherst County are you aware of that have Brady letters? Other than, or is it any more than the 5 that we have information on?
We've issued 5 Brady
I'm sure
letters.
you've had an opportunity to talk to your peers about this.
I have.
What are their thoughts on the, I guess, everything this is churning up? What are their thoughts on you issuing these? I mean, do they have thoughts?
Sorry, I'm going through it. Don't understand the politics of Amherst and why I'm being attacked. Wonder why I'm taking the heat for something they did.
An appeal process looked like officers were able to appeal these somehow, or get some judge to make a ruling on it. Would the letters be disregarded or expunged, or what would that look like?
There isn't an appeal process. That was the goal of Senate Bill 1274, was to create some sort of review process. The problem with that, and one of the problems with that, adequately address what happens, like even if in that one someone opines, which in that case, in that bill suggested the circuit court judge opines that the Commonwealth attorney abused their discretion, that wouldn't alleviate the constitutional right of the defendant.
For this item here to fund the sheriff's deputies for legal services, where does that get the?
There isn't a clear answer to that. Brady letters are done within a prosecutor, and we say Commonwealth attorney as if they just have to be mine. Any prosecutor can do it. So like if I left today, any prosecutor in my place would have to do the same thing. Like they would have to do the same thing, an independent decision on every case. Even if I said, all right, I'm not going to do this letter, every prosecutor in my office would have to agree because their law license would be on the line just like mine is. So, but where would it be? It's hard to really imagine. Maybe an attempt at a lawsuit against whoever issued it, maybe. But we have immunity, so I don't really. It's hard to imagine where that would go. But it could, I guess, conceptually, could be the county funds a county employee to sue the county hire attorneys on both sides to fight it out and then get it dismissed based on immunity. It would be my guess.